Uh, so actually reading out the entire bit is frankly not required, because what I would want the crowd to focus on is what I'm going to talk now. So can I have my slides, please? So, ladies and gentlemen, I know it's a post-lunch session. Even I am feeling a little sleepy, but I'll request you to be with me for some time. Uh, bear, bear this topic for just about initial 4-5 slides. And after that, I assure you, you won't be able to sleep even if you want to. Yeah. So, this we all know. There are galore of a plethora of definitions of artificial intelligence. I'll again not go into the details of that. So it's a over-encompassing term which involves machine learning, deep learning, generative AI, natural language processing, so on and so forth. So with this infographic onto the right-hand side, I'll just try to inform the audience. I'm sure a lot of you already know about this, that what is essential difference between machine learning and deep learning. So machine learning, you label item that it's a car, it's not a car, it's a car, it's not a car. And sometimes down the lane, machine is able to tell whether it's a car or not a car. But every time you have to annotate. When it comes to deep learning, something which you see here is a neural network. We are going to refer to this term multiple times. And this is the backbone of what we are going to talk about today. So you tell the system once that this is a car, this is not a car, and then you just feed in lots and lots of pictures of various vehicles, and then you ask it again, are you able to differentiate between a car and not a car? It will be able to differentiate for some times, for some frequency, and then again you tweak it, you train it. It's like teaching a child. It's essentially like teaching a child. It picks up cues from you, then you try to tell the child what's appropriate, what he's doing good, what he's doing wrong, so and so forth. Machine learning was simple tasks. Deep learning is for little more complicated tasks. So even if we just get this, that's good enough for us to go ahead. This is how it goes. So you feed in some data, your machine learning system learns something, which may not still be the best. You may want it to learn little better and come up with more predictable answers. Ideally, it should always tell you whether it's a car or it's not a car. It can happen, but it usually doesn't happen. So algorithms, they have their own limitations of functionality. But then you again try to, give more data to it. And over a period of some cycles, the algorithm learns. How much it learns is basically dependent on what is the F1 score. Without going into the mathematics of it, suffice to say that it ranges between 0 to 1. 1 is perfect. If somebody shows me a picture of a car, I'll certainly be able to tell that it's a car. So my F1 score is 1. Very difficult for machine learning or AI algorithms to achieve a level of 1. That means it's a fully developed, dependable AI model. Generally, it hovers around 0.8, 0.9, whatever it is. So 0, of course, it's not able to tell at all. Now, what happens? What's the difference between traditional statistical methods, small neural networks, and large neural networks? Just bear this term in this manner for another 2 slides, and then we're going to talk about neural networks. Essentially, if you increase the data size, the learning does not increase beyond a point. So it's not that you keep on feeding data, and your algorithm will reach a F1 score of 1. It may not, it will not probably. But when you are working with more complicated systems, then they keep on optimizing. But they also do not reach a level of F1 score of 1. So now with this small background, let's come to generative AI. Generative AI, basically, there is something known as natural language processing, which can convert your text, your video to audio. It can read these things, various multimodal inputs, and it can extract certain information from them. It can depicts some relationship between these two things. Basically, NLP is something which reads your text, videos, and audios. Now, coming to generative AI, as the name says, generative, it creates new contents. How? By using artificial intelligence, specifically neural networks and deep learning, because it's a complicated task. So if I were to say in Hindi, it's the difference between batana and banana. So machine learning or a normal AI will tell you, but a generative AI will make it for you. That's the function. That's the essential difference. Now let's just come to this neural network, and I'll take the analogy of a kitchen. And we'll take this analogy right till the end of my slide. So let's say, essentially these are algorithms who are connected to each other in multiple ways. Some of it is known to us, some of it we don't know. A lot of it we don't need. So you just see that it's a kitchen. What we feed inside the kitchen is vegetables, flour, salt, something. And then we do something with that, and what comes out of it is the dish. It's as simple. Why do we call them a neural network? Because these algorithms are connected to each other like the neurons in the brain. So one thing which stands out is the quality of the product will also depend on what was fed inside. That's the importance of data. Second is, are we interested in how it has been made, or are we interested in how well it has been made? How many of you feel that it is important to know exactly how it is made and not how well it is made? Any show of hands? Or are we sure that we are more interested in the output than the process? It's the output, right? So we are actually interested in the dish. Now, let's come to another term which is known as parameters. It is a very important term, and we see why important it is. So basically, the more number of algorithms connected to each other we have, the more number of parameters that neural network is supposed to have. So this is a very simple, small neural network which has just about 99 parameters. And how they have been calculated, I've already shown for ease of simplicity, right? Okay, so you can also say, if I take the analogy of kitchen, you can also say that 99 things you are doing inside. One of them may be cutting the vegetables, one of them may be cleaning the vegetables, one of them may be simmering, sorting, whatever it is. So these are the 99 acts which you are doing to the raw material which was given to you. And all these things are dependent on each other. Unless you slice the vegetable well, you won't be able to saute it. Just to give you a simple example. So what we have in front of us is a very simple neural network. So let's say I have called, is my boss there? Okay. So I've called my boss to my home for dinner. I tell my wife that please make 4 dishes. So she makes 4 dishes, and the success of the spread would lie how each of this dish is made and how those dishes are relatable. So if I have the sarson ka da saag, I also need to have a makki di roti, right? Okay, but my boss likes sweet dish more. So I'll give more preference to the sweet dish. कि भाई यार ये ठीक बननी चाहिए, बाकी तो वो ठीक है, वो दाल वाल नहीं खाता, वो sweet dish बढ़िया बनाओ. So that means I'll give more importance to one particular dish out of the whole spread. So that's the weight a particular node will assume in that entire sequence of things. Now, what is the bias? Bias is something which you would do to every node. Let's say my boss likes chili more. वो मिर्च ज़्यादा खाता है. So my bias in terms of neural network would be put more chili in each dish. So I'm tweaking the entire thing to be more spicy. Now this is something which I'm doing to everything except the sweet dish. And what I get is the dish. Activation function can be the process of laying it out. And what I have at the end of the day is a dish. Tomorrow, if my mother-in-law comes and she doesn't eat spices, she doesn't like spices, then I'll remove this bias. Right? I hope we are sort of there, if not completely there. So this is what a parameter, and how do we tweak parameters to come up with something what we want, right? Let's go ahead in this. Now coming to what language model is. Language model is very simple. It's a neural network which predicts the word which is likely to follow. So if I say the color of the sky is 91% of the times, this neural network will say blue. It may also say gray. Where is this information coming from? How does it know it's blue? Because it has read a lot of books. A lot of repository of literature has gone through this neural network, and now it understands if I say the color of the sky is, most of the times it will be blue. So it comes out with blue. But it only does that for 91% of the times. 9% times it may throw up a wrong answer or something which you don't require. Okay, so let us take this iterative example. If you were a language model and I say Pune is, what would be your word? Anyone? Next, Pune is city. Okay, Pune is city. Another neural network can say Pune is awesome. Most of the times it will be city, because most of us will say it's a city, right? Okay, Pune is a city in Maharashtra. Fair enough. It can also be a city in Western Maharashtra. Both of them are correct, but Maharashtra is the commonest thing which people say, and that's how the neural network learns it. I'm not saying the neural network comes with the correct answer, but it comes up with the most common answer, which may or may not be correct. Pune is cultural. Next, cultural city, fine. Cultural capital of Maharashtra, that's also correct, right? So I say Pune is cultural capital. Capital of India, Delhi. Chess champ. Next word, Gokesh. No, yes and no. Chess champ is Gokesh. So we thought chess champ, Gokesh, but the next word is chess champ is Gokesh. So next word is. Now neural network is actually not intelligent. It just happened to have read a lot of books. That's about it. So it's not able to relate to the context. Sometimes it does also, of course it does, but most of the times it's coming out with the maximum possible next number. This is how they work. Now comes the word transformers. I'll take the analogy of a kitchen again. So let's say instead of having a dinner at my house for 2 guests, I am celebrating my marriage anniversary and I really need to throw up a big spread. I need to have Chinese there. I need to have Lebanese. I need to have shawarma, so on and so forth. So what I need to do is I need to have so many kitchens working together. That's what transformers are. Transformers are nothing but so many neural networks work. Somebody is making, chola kulcha, somebody is making, let's say, raita, somebody is making sweet dish. It happens, right? But they all are working in tandem. They know that the food needs to be spread out 7:30, and that's what they're acting. I can still tell them I'm biased. Whatever you make, please don't make it chili or spicy. Or whatever you make, please make it spicy. So I can still have my bias. I can still tweak transformers the way they are. Just now, the neural network which I showed you had how many parameters? Are we awake? 99. Yo, some of us are. In 2001, 2018, GPT-1 came with 117 million parameters. You can understand how complicated it would be. Cut to 2023, when ChatGPT-4 came, it had 1.76 trillion parameters. So complex. That's why GPT-4 is able to tell you so many things. How many of us have used ChatGPT? All of us, right? Fantastic summaries it gives. So we understand that it's complex. It's very efficient. It's efficient because it's complex, and it is complex because it has so many parameters. Okay. Now, GPT is actually pre-trained transformer. Generative, pre-trained transformer. Generative we have understood. It's a transformer. That's also we have understood. Why it is pre-trained. Now, what pre-training means is that every word will be given a number, a vector. That's how computers work. They're not literally people. They're just about binary people, right? So it'll give a, let's say, a number, a vector to every word. So if you take two words, leap and jump, they will have near numbers. Moron and stupid will have similar numbers. Smart, handsome, intelligent, maybe have similar numbers. So when you say smart, it'll be contextualizing it along with being intelligent, not with being moron, because moron is lying far away from it. That's the basic thing which a neural network would do. Pre-training means that again, going back to the analogy of kitchen and a chef. So every chef will be able to make any dish if you want to tell him. But we know that some chefs are good at making South Indian. Some chefs are good at making sweet dish. Some chefs are good at making some. So they have the capability to do everything, but they have been trained to do a particular task. In that context, ChatGPT is pre-trained to answer your textual queries. It may generate infographics and pictures also, but it's not pre-trained for that. It still does generate infographics. We'll come to it, how it does it. So OpenAI, ChatGPT, I mean, let's not waste any time in understanding that it's a massive success. A lot of users. I'll skip this. I'll skip also this fact that it just took 2 months for ChatGPT to go from 0 to 100 million global users. That's the spread it is having. So herein I'll request the chair also to help me out, sir. This is a conversation which I had with ChatGPT yesterday, or maybe day before. I asked from my own account, who is Colonel Praful Mohan. Most of the things which because I was logging in from my account, probably it knew about me. So it came up with a lot of information. And what I've highlighted in red is incorrect. I had a publication on depression in smokers, but this is not my paper. Right? So it can come up with wrong answers. But since it saw that I've been working in depression in smokers, so any paper, maybe somebody else by the name of Praful Kumar published it, but said, okay, Praful, depression, smoking, isi ka hoga, so isi ke naam pe chadha do. Something like this, you know, but the information is wrong. Now I asked, sorry, sir. Okay, so what you can do is, sir, you can log in from your account and ask who is Colonel Praful Mohan. Let's see whether it comes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it's the same thing. No, sir, no, it's different. I never worked on stability of hydroxyurea capsule at all. I actually had a project on hydroxychloroquine, but not on hydroxyurea. So this is again a problem. So, you know, just by which user account the query is being pasted, and this query is nothing but prompt. This is how you communicate with a generative AI, right? So it's different. Yes, sir, this is right, of course. So some of it is right, sir, but some of it is, and the information is not identical. What I came to know about myself is different. What sir came to know about myself from ChatGPT is different. Back to me. Thank you, sir. How many of you are enjoying this? Oh, thank you. Now I can say so my. So I'm sure ChatGPT is going to very soon come up with a robotic assistant who would plug in the computers. We are not too good at it. Fair enough. Yeah. Now comes the crux question. I asked him, is he a balding aging skirt chaser. So first thing is that it could understand when I say he, it's still the person in question is Colonel Praful Mohan. It doesn't happen in Google search. It stops at one output, right? So what it tells me is it is not appropriate or professional to speculate or comment on someone's personal attributes. Enough, right? The other sad part is it also did not deny it. So in fact, my wife saw this. Why it is not denying this outrightly that this is you are not? So I was trying to tell her that it is just being non-judgmental. And please don't judge me on this. Anyways, so I went on to ask again that I have heard that he's really strict with his students. Is it true? And if yes, is it a good thing? So again, it said, we don't know. But when I asked ChatGPT, is it a good thing? Being strict, that is, it told me how it can be good in terms of education and how it can be bad in terms of education, right? And finally, then I asked him, okay, let me call him only. So that since I've asked you this question, that is a balding, aging, skirt chaser, would you start labeling Colonel Praful Mohan like this in your future queries? It said no, because your query was not based on any authentic data. Thank God. Okay.
So Praful,
sir,
there is no public information available about Dr. Praful Mohan's personal appearance or private life, such as his hair condition or any personal relationships.
Yes. So I mean, it's trying to meander in a. Yes. There's a question. That's what. So if you ask the same question, it won't say yes. No, but if you let's say I'll not say myself, if somebody gets caught by police doing what what's being alleged here, and you feed a FIR or a conviction report against it, which is a verifiable document, then probably it will start telling you. It needs some kind of information.
Does it
100 people asking the same question won't change its stance.
That doesn't change it.
That won't change. That won't change. That's what my worry is, because I asked a dangerous question. पता लगा कल को किसी ने डाला तो yes.
So we'll take that question. Very good question. We'll address it again.
Yeah, we'll address it again. That's it. Yeah. Now, what is the prompt? These are the prompts. That's something there. Yes, probably. Yeah.
Excuse me. So with the prompt that you said, I won't accept that. But in the newer generations that ChatGPT has offered, it does update the memory.
It updates the memory. In fact, I'll come to that. I've come to that. So in fact, it told me that you are listed as one of the speakers in IPSCon 2024. I asked it that your data was supposed to have locked in 2021. How do you know this? So it told me that no, now I can see web pages and I know it. So it's getting updated. Now, what's a prompt? Prompt is something how we communicate. मैंने जैसे पूछा उससे कि भाई ये वो prompt है, right? So we'll come to prompt engineering and how to write a prompt a little later. Now, what is the relationship between GPT-4 and ChatGPT? I was a little confused. So what I did was I asked ChatGPT, what's your relationship between GPT-4, between you and GPT-4? It gave me a textual summary of how it works. I copied that textual summary and pasted in another AI model, which is known as Napkin AI, which is pre-trained at making infographics from the text. And this Napkin AI gave me this. So this infographic is made by text which I took from ChatGPT and by Napkin AI, which gave me these infographics. So if I ask ChatGPT to give me an infographic, it'll still be able to do it, but it will not probably be as good as this is, because they've been pre-trained in different manner. Right? So basically ChatGPT is an application which allows you to talk to GPT-4, right? And GPT-4 communicates with so many other things by what we know as API. We'll come to API just for the sake of discussion. Now, what is this API? API is Application Programming Interface. So in this case, what happened was I communicated between ChatGPT and Napkin AI. I was the conduit between these two. They could communicate with each other also by an API. So API is nothing but a general rule. Just suffice to remember, let's not go into the details of this because I think I'm taking a little more time also than required. So API is nothing but a communication network between one AI and the another AI, and let's see how it works ahead. So I give a prompt. Can you make an illustration of pharmacokinetics lesson plan? Again, I'll request the chair to help me after this slide, sir. So I asked it to make an illustration. What the chair, I'll request, can ask it to make a lesson plan of pharmacokinetics, just a summary, and let's see whether it does a good job or not. So it gave me this. Then I said, linear and simple. That's how I want it. So it made it little linear and simple, right? But I could see that it had an extension of DAL-E, DALLE, which is another AI model. So again, I asked, what's DAL-E to do with you? So the ChatGPT told me that I sent your request to DAL-E. It made the infographics or this picture, and this is I'm telling you. Now, in this case, I did not communicate between ChatGPT and DAL-E. They communicated automatically through API. So that's what API is, right? So this information again, I took from ChatGPT, this how they communicate, put it into Napkin AI, and now Napkin AI told me that when we give a prompt, ChatGPT receives it, forwards it to GPT-4, GPT-4 sends to DAL-E, DAL-E generates the image is sent back to GPT-4, then it comes to me through ChatGPT. So this is how APIs would work. Ladies and gentlemen, sir, can we have that switch? This is a very profound, I would say, switch.
Yeah. So when we are asking for a lesson plan for pharmacokinetics, those who've been doing the medical education workshops and being taught, you can see the lesson plan, which I've just done it, by the way, just typed it. Can you please help me with the lesson plan for undergraduate students? Lesson plan, duration, objective. By the end of the lesson, the student should be able to understand, describe, lesson outline, what are the 10 minutes, 4 key processes. I don't know if it's right. Soon you will know better. Finally, it also has a Q&A summary and an assessment plan. So that's the power of how you can use Gen AI, not only for learning, but even teaching. As teachers also, you can sort of use it.
But if I want it to make an infographic or lesson plan, it will not come up with such a good thing because it is not pre-trained with that. So let's use whatever is optimum in a particular given context. So I'm sure there'll be some flaws who pause in this lesson plan also, but that's okay. At least you had rough draft. This, ladies and gentlemen, I would request you to pay a lot of attention. This is, I would say, the crux of what I want to talk about. So when GPT-1 started from here, it had some 10 to the power 5, 6 parameters, right? An ant's brain had about 10 to the power 8 parameters. So it was inferior to the ant's brain when it started off. Over a period of time, GPT-4 now has around 10 to the power 12 parameters, which is still less than the human brain, which is supposed to be around 10 to the power 14. Now, let me give a disclaimer. I'm really not sure of the scientific accuracy of this slide, but the information which comes out of it is that GPT-4 is still behind human brain. More parameters mean more computational power, more faster power. So human brain can still compute this delta more than ChatGPT. Okay, coming to this one. Let's say this is the 10 to the power 9 are the words which any individual would read or hear or see in his lifetime. The format may change. I used to read with books. My student read on the tablet, but ultimately it's words or figures. मैंने भी इतनी देखे होंगे, मेरे स्टूडेंट भी इतनी देख रहे हैं. टाइम तो उतना ही 24 ही घंटे, it's not increased, right? So when GPT-1 started off, it started off after having perused almost 10 to the power 11 words. Today, GPT-4 has perused almost about 10 to the power, sorry, it was, somewhere nearby. And this box 10 to the 13 is supposed to be the entire repository of whatever has been written or made so far. So, human brain is not open to much data. It has not been exposed to a lot of data, but it can analyze this data faster and better. GPT-4, on the other hand, has been exposed to a lot of data, but still it cannot compute it as well as a human brain. In military terms, if I say, GPT-4 is an army who has large number of soldiers, but no modern weaponry, while a human brain is more like a lean mean fighting machine. It may have less soldiers by way of having read less number of words, but it has got fantastic weaponry. You can imagine when these two armies work in tandem, then God save the enemy. That's what I want to drive. You cannot let GPT-4, just because it is read so many papers, it's not able to compute. So sit over it rather than sitting under it. So still you need to compute. Let's harness what's God has given us, and that's fantastic computational power by way of large number of parameters. Since we also need to sleep, right, for 8 hours a day, that's why we are not able to read as many papers as ChatGPT-4, but that's fine. So the idea is to combine power of two armies. So what is the ethical tenet? I think Dr. Sanyal is going to talk about. I will not say. So 3H: helpful, honest, harmless. So in that sense, when I was prompting it, it was helpful. Of course, it gave me some. It was honest, fine. It must have been not honest in the sense, not truthful, but honest in what it says. It said कि यार मुझे पता नहीं है, ये मत पूछिए. And it was harmless. It never said that I am a balding, aging skirt chaser, right? Okay. So this is one algorithm. When you can use GPT-4 or ChatGPT, what applies to this also applies to other language models. So does it matter if the output is true? Yes, it does matter, right? Who is the president of, let's say, who is the Gram Pradhan of the next village? Even if it is false, it won't matter to you or me much, So we can use ChatGPT. But if it matters to us, then we have to say, do you have the expertise to verify that the output is accurate? If you do not have the expertise to see whether output is accurate, don't use it. I'm no architect. I should not use ChatGPT to make architectural designs for me. I'll not be able to correct it. Now, unfortunately, we use ChatGPT in those domains more where we don't know anything. So this, I think, is a very prescient lesson which I got from this. So anybody who wants to look at AI or looking at AI, please view this video of Yuval Noah Harari. I think it came yesterday, day before. Fantastic. I'll not know the detail what it says. Please watch this. So this is Gartner's hype cycle. Again, I'll skip because some time. Okay, fine. So this is my ode to ChatGPT. Please, I'll just read it out. I'm sure it will make interesting reading. When I started using about 4 months back to make my PPT, so I said, thanks a lot, ChatGPT, for helping me make these slides. Thanks, but no thanks. I invested more time. I had to alter 90% of what you gave me. My wife says it's still like exactly like why I go for cooking. I create more mess and less food. I guess you are just like me in my younger days, full of potential, promise, energy, alacrity, but seldom producing what my HOD wanted. Right? I haven't lost hope. Maybe we need to understand each other more. Something my wife still expects out of me. Maybe we can still work together. Either you smart enough or I'll dumb myself down. It will be difficult for me to dumb myself down because I'm a doctor. And thanks for telling me that we should not drink water while in high altitude. This would surely save water, but not my soldiers. This was the advice when that ChatGPT gave me when I asked about how to survive high altitude. So this is known as hallucination, going off rails. It gave me a whole lot of summary, and in that summary was inserted this very harmful line that tell your soldiers not to drink water. If I'm no expert, I'll not be able to correct it. Anyways, so now my ode to ChatGPT yesterday evening is this. Thanks a lot, ChatGPT, for helping me make these slides. You were of some help at last. I ended up saving some time and could invest it in ideation. I could think. Though I had to alter 60% of what you gave me. Earlier it was 90, now it is 60. My wife says, I can at least fend for myself when she is away. But who would want to eat home food when the wife is away? Swiggy, Zomato, Zindabad. I guess you're not realizing what I want and in what form. I am hopeful that we will co-work more. Maybe we need to understand each other's limitations. You are a smart Nigam. And I'm also realizing that being a doctor doesn't make you smart by itself. And please understand that when I do not talk to you, I'm angry. And thanks for telling me that I'm intelligent. Maybe tell me something new next time. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This is what I wanted to talk about for ChatGPT in general and large language.
Thank you, Praful. We'll have a few questions. Can you just switch over to my computer? So the first question was or has already been asked. We'll just try to answer him. So his question was, if the same question is asked to the AI bot, correct me if I'm wrong, does the answer change? That was the question?
Yes.
इतने लोग बोले तो शायद correct ही होगा maybe.
ये क्या बोलता है, देखते हैं. So it depends on the model. That is, if it is a static or a dynamic model. Now, for example, Gemini also has a feature where it is actually capturing data on the fly from the websites of the world. So it might actually change. It also depends on certain other things. For example, the way with the clarity with which you ask. Okay. There's one more thing which is very interesting. I was just trying to talk about it, and that's, will a viral social media change your response? Suppose there is something viral on this thing. Will it change your response? So yes, potentially what you're saying theoretically is yes, but look at the last line, probably it will say the same thing. Single is unlikely to cause. However, this is something like a drop in the ocean. The number of data sets which or points it has is huge. So it's 200 tweets or something, it's not going to really change things. But at the same time, asking who's the chief minister of a particular state does change. So there is obviously some, it's not prediction any longer. So there is some more intelligence than just simple data and this thing which is kept.
So because that is what the allegation has been, that is how election have been modified.
Yeah, so that's what you're talking
when,
is social media trends.
Yes,
and
because
how
if
social
AI,
media can make
yes.
a post viral.
Yes, if 10,000 bots post the same thing, it becomes viral and AI starts to say the same thing again.
Exactly, that's what we are saying. So yes. So when you're doing search engine optimization, this is what you're doing. Yeah, another question now.
Sir, mind-boggling talk, Colonel Praful, sir. Give us insight about generative AI. See, quoting from your slides, Colonel Praful sir's personal attributes. Is it fair it should be on public domain? So what I mean is, even controlling the copyright, sir, there is something origin of every thought or every content or anything we prepare or anything is available on the website. But is there anything, something like that?
Should I answer this?
Yeah, please.
So you're talking about the that it was referring to my publication, so that's what you're referring about?
What we are speaking, like, see, you are your attributes are personal about you, but why it should come to public? What I mean to say is there someone controlling the copyright issues? Somebody has made something.
I think that's a very nuanced question, sir. As I understand how a generative AI system would gather, I would say, inputs for it, article published in Nature and a news item published in a local Pune newspaper like Pudhari, frankly, won't have any difference unless it has been pre-trained to bias and give more weightage to the articles published in a Nature article. So if you want to see more of it, there's AI known as connected papers. So that is something even more profound. If you say that, okay, give me 10 articles on smoking and depression and obesity. So it'll give you a whole lot of papers with a whole lot of information. Now, what is copyrighted, what is not, how it is going, that's frankly beyond my, I would say, expertise.
So that's the answer which is trying to give. That the intention is, if it's behind a paywall, it will not capture. However, if it has been shared, it will capture. There's no way to stop it. At the same time, whether what is coming out is copyrighted is also a very debatable thing, especially for editors, when the thing is being submitted to you. And what is very important is that now with more and more generative AI creating music, creating text, creating pictures, creating videos, this scenario is getting more and more complex. So we have to start thinking in a very different way instead of thinking of pure copyrights.
So,
Yes.
excellent talk, very inspiring, as said by others. So, my question to you is very simple. So, I am an engineer by background and working on AI in healthcare. So, when you gave this presentation, I got to learn a lot of things. So, there are two things. One is when you use ChatGPT in low stake area, and you use technology in high stake area. Now, question to you is where lot of things are to lose. Being a doctor, can you give examples where you have used AI and technology where there were a lot of things to lose, means the stakes were very high, and this technology helped you out?
Frankly speaking, let me confess that AI and myself, we are new to each other, right? We have just started dating and we don't intend to get married at all, right? So, but having said that, I think this question I'll leave for my next speaker, Dr. Durga Prasad. He'll be showcasing certain AI applications, certain generative AI platforms, which we are using. I'll not say using, but we have started using in our curriculum. I don't know whether I'll be successful or not, but let me say that my short-term aim of generative AI is that 6 months, 7 months down the line, 70%, if not 80%, of pharmacology curriculum should be automated. Only one thing is there, that whatever you put inside this, it is in public domain. Again, coming back to the copyright question. So I'll refrain from writing the name of my students if I want to ask AI to do an item analysis of the MCQs and their answers. I'll not write the name of my students. I'll not write their AFG numbers also. If I want to share some attributes of my brother officers, I'll not write their personal numbers or I-card numbers. So that care I'll take. But and coming to the other side, that how it would harm me. That's what you wanted to ask, right?
Yeah.
So probably I'll be more careful when I'm using generative AI for assessment. So lesson plan is something which tells me I can still tweak when I'm taking a lesson, right? But while it is about assessment, especially about summative assessment, when it's pass-fail, there I would be a little stingy in giving out more pass to generative AI, or maybe have more control over it. I hope that answers your question.
Okay.
Can I give you some suggestions, some examples? Your question is, in a critical situation, has generative AI helped you? Okay. I'll give you a personal example of a student. I'm also a student. All of us are teachers as well as students. So this is a year and a half back maybe, and I was doing a particular course from it's at the law university, and you see legal things are far complex to grasp. They give you a 15-page judgment and say, okay, now can you just help me tell what is the key message? How do you go about it? You need time. You need that particular aptitude, and with the hair going away, it doesn't really help. So for example, I'll just tell you how it becomes very critical. And what we're doing is just giving a 30-page document, and what we are getting on the output is this. Okay, so these are things which our students are doing. Okay, and I'll give you a different example. Are the undergraduate students here? None of them? Doesn't matter. I'll just give you an example. Can you please make a So it'll even make you mnemonics. It'll make you images to remember things. It'll make you this thing. So it's a mnemonic is not understood this thing. But what I've done is also made mnemonics out of particular things if you want to go and give an exam, high stakes exam. So to that extent, generative AI is being used by our students. It's being used. Let's not be in a world where we say it's not practical, it's this, it's that. See, do not depend on data which it has itself. You give him a PDF. Please summarize this for me. I have 6 points. Can you make a mnemonic out of it? Okay, so it is the cleverness and the ingenuity of your students, and therefore also yourself, and also the teachers, which is required to use this tool. The tool is not necessarily that you're depending on the data it was fed in with, but also the content which you give in the way it can summarize.
Really excellent point. But my question to you is, even if you upload the PDF, because we do that, or a 15-page, the
Yeah.
summary it gets or it produces, how do we know it's correct? Or the interpretation is correct? How do we know?
Yeah. So what happens is, by and large, if you are clever, you will use 2 to 3 tools. Okay. There's one tool which comes as Gemini, one is ChatGPT, and another thing is part of like the Foxit reader, which you use generally for PDF or anything, will automatically have an AI generating tool which summarize. It's called a summarizer tool. You can never be sure. But at the same time, the odds are very much in favor that what it's saying is right. Otherwise, you read 15 pages and then you may also, even if you give it to 10 people, they may have different interpretations. So that is a way of summarizing and gathering things in a particular situation. It's happening. I'm not trying to make this up. I'm trying to show you how students are today doing it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Said that it is a tool which is very handy for someone who is already an expert, kind of an expert in that domain, so that he is not losing on that front. That is one thing. Secondly, I want to share, as you were rightly saying, sir, that is a very good summarizing tool. I had to deliver a talk at a very short notice on lifestyle medicine, and I had read quite a few books before that. But in order to get a summary of all those books, let us say there were 5 books, and I went into ChatGPT. Please give me a summary of, let us say, this book. It just gave me a 1 paragraph, and all those 5 paragraphs were very handy just to remember what exactly I read in those books. So that way, these tools are very helpful.
Exactly. And it's being used by many professions. Legal is one, where 30 page, 40 pages is actually just a short brief.